Let's speak now to Lesetja Dikgale, who's a SALGA NEC member and chairperson of the Municipal Finance Working Group. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us, Mr. Dikgale. If you could just give us a broad overview of the state of municipalities. We hear reports of, and sometimes because they are dealt with individually, just a broader picture of how much in trouble our municipalities often lost.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson, and good evening to your viewers. I think we should agree that we can't just use the same brush for all municipalities. But it is also important to indicate that a significant number of municipalities are going through a serious challenge financially, primarily because how some of them are structured is such that they are unable to get the necessary resources that are able to function in terms of their responsibility given to them by the Constitution. Then you have municipalities that we call them the 21 cities, which generally do have the necessary capacity and able to do what needs to be done. Unfortunately, some of them, due to their lack of capacity to ensure that the revenue collection is enforced such that they are able to, people or customers are able to pay for their services and using that money to maintain existing infrastructure and develop the new ones where population growth indicates. And that's where some of these municipalities are facing a challenge. Their inability to collect the necessary revenue. Then you have big cities which generally their situation, and except you are having a situation where they are unable to function properly because their finances are in dire strait. So generally that is the situation that you face, whereby in each and every category of municipalities, your category A, B, your category in particular as A and B, because this is the district which generally they don't have this kind of challenges facing your category A and B. So all I can say is currently our municipality do need significant intervention by national government. In our recent interview, we indicated, Tsepiso, that the kind of funding structure that we are having for local government, which is only 9% of our nationally raised revenue, is such that it is making it impossible for municipalities. If you look at the cost structure of running these municipalities, it's making it impossible for municipalities to carry out their constitutional mandate and be able to service our people optimally.
And on that point, the Auditor General's certainly last 3 reports on municipalities has been rather scathing. If it's not incapacity, it's the lack or inability to comply and having the requisite skills to meet their mandates as we speak. And what happens in cases where municipalities find themselves in crisis? And I'd like to use the Tshwane municipality as an example. For instance, we've seen the governing party be very critical of the city of Tshwane wanting to approach Absa Bank for a loan of 1 billion rand.
It is very important to segregate things properly so that we are able to diagnose the problem correctly. And then the first thing that we must indicate is you have municipalities like Tshwane, as you indicated, which has not been managing their finances very well, and which led to their current situation, which I believe it is up to the leadership of that municipality, working with SALGA, because we are working with Tshwane closely to reinvent the process of ensuring that all the necessary processes to collect the revenue continues. Because you remember there was this program called Tshwane Team, which we lauded very much as SALGA, because we believed that there were a lot of people in Tshwane who were not paying and there was no consequences. So I believe that's where Tshwane made a mistake. It allowed big business in particular to get away with matter which was wrong. So right now, they must go back to the basics. They must collect every cent that they deserve to collect. And I believe if they stick to a plan that ensures that currently they don't spend beyond what they are having, and they start developing a plan to collect the debt that is there, and ensure that in the final analysis, they stick to a balanced budget, and then ensuring that there is zero tolerance for any kind of misdemeanor in terms of payment of services. Tshwane has the capacity, has the ability to revive itself and go back to where it belongs as a city of our nation. But unfortunately, I would say it depends on the leadership to be able to do that. Whether they can stay the course or not, SALGA will be there to help.
And as you say, there is a tendency to brush them all with the same brush. So there are good performing municipalities, and there are those who are constantly riddled with fruitless and wasteful expenditure and underspending, even in areas where it is critical, to a point where the Auditor General has said that their mandate needed to be expanded to ensure that they help some of these municipalities. What are the differences? You've mentioned leadership, but I'm just wondering, isn't there standard operating procedure, for instance, particularly for CFOs, or the line of reportage when important decisions are taken, particularly when it comes to budgetary issues?
I would say leadership is very critical. If the captain of the ship loses balance, the ship will sink. That's the first and critical issue about institutional ability to perform. You need good leadership who understand the vision of the institution, who understand how to manage the institution and how to lead it, and to make sure that critical and decisive decisions are taken to ensure that the municipality runs, number one, according to proper systems. You need internal controls that are able to detect any kind of malfeasance. Secondly, you need good administrative capacity. You need management that is consistent. You can't be changing management. If you go to municipalities that are performing, you find that those people who are working there, they are 10 years, 15 years in their positions as municipal managers, CFO, technical managers. Meaning they build what we call institutional memory, which will create a long-term understanding of the challenges. They are able to identify through their Section 71 report yellow flags early, and they are able to correct immediately and ensure that the budget goes back to what has been resolved by council at the beginning of the financial year. Thirdly, you need institutional capacity. The institution must have the necessary staff, the necessary equipment, the necessary systems, the necessary software. All of those things combined, they make an institution to be what we call a functional institution. The institution to function, all of these things must come together and be able to do things that need to be done. And most importantly, their ability to ensure that there is constant financial capacity for the municipality through revenue collection, and indeed, as you indicated, spending the grants that are there to ensure that there is infrastructure development that provides services. So all of those things works well when you have good leadership, good and professional administration, and an institution being capacitated to be able to function through their systems and internal controls.
I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to speak further, Lesetja Dikgale, because as we head to the elections, it is important to flesh out particularly the minutiae of some of these problems. Much appreciated, SALGA's Lesetja Dikgale.